Hi everyone, welcome back for another Nap Stories. We are glad you could join us.
Thanks, Riley. And if you like our stories, please consider liking and subscribing so you don't miss any new stories.
Now sit back and relax as we present to you Inside Out 2.
Riley Anderson had just turned 13, and this summer was shaping up to be a big one. She was heading to hockey camp, determined to make the high school team, the Firehawks. Inside headquarters, her emotions, joy, sadness, anger, fear, and disgust were just as excited as she was. They'd navigated Riley through childhood, but this felt like uncharted territory. Everything seemed fine until a loud puberty alarm blared throughout headquarters.
What is that?
Joy asked, a mixture of excitement and confusion in her voice.
It's so loud, someone make it stop.
Without warning, mind workers arrived and began upgrading the console.
Big changes coming through.
One of them shouted as they set up new control panels. As the dust settled, Joy and the others noticed something else. 4 new emotions had arrived: anxiety, envy, embarrassment, and ennui. Anxiety was the first to speak, her voice trembling yet assertive.
Riley's growing up. She needs me now. We can't afford to be careless.
Joy, ever optimistic, tried to brush it off.
We've been through tough times before. This is just another adventure, right?
But anxiety wasn't convinced.
No, Joy. This is different. If Riley's going to succeed, she needs to be serious. She can't rely on fun anymore.
As Riley headed to camp, she felt the weight of new pressures. She had to make new friends, fit in with older kids, and most importantly, earn a spot on the Firehawks. Joy was determined to keep things lighthearted, urging Riley to have fun, but anxiety had other plans.
She needs to focus.
Anxiety insisted, her hands shaking as she took over the controls. Joy tried to intervene,
Riley's always been herself. She doesn't need to change to fit in.
but anxiety was relentless, pushing Riley to mimic Val Ortiz, the popular hockey player. Riley began distancing herself from Grace and Bree, her oldest friends, feeling that they were holding her back. As anxiety tightened her grip, Riley became more obsessed with winning Val's approval. Her every move felt calculated. Her spontaneity fading under the pressure. Camp life became a balancing act, and Riley was losing her footing. One afternoon, after a particularly tense practice, anxiety made a drastic move.
The old emotions are just slowing Riley down. They're not helping her anymore.
She said, her voice steely. Without warning, she ordered embarrassment and ennui to trap joy, sadness, anger, fear, and disgust in a glass jar.
We don't need you anymore.
Anxiety said coldly as the jar was sent to the depths of Riley's mind.
You won't get away with this.
Inside the jar, Joy banged against the glass, her eyes wide with disbelief.
Oh no!
You let us out of here right now or I'll...
We're part of who Riley is. You can't just erase us.
But anxiety had already taken full control. With the primary emotions out of the way, she began creating a new sense of self for Riley, one dominated by fear, doubt, and constant comparison to others. Riley found herself constantly worrying about how others saw her, especially Val. In the vault, deep within Riley's mind, Joy and the others sat in frustrated silence.
We can't just sit here. Riley needs us.
Joy finally said, her voice uncharacteristically quiet. Sadness, always thoughtful, agreed.
We need to get back. She's losing herself.
Together, they began their journey through the maze of memories and emotions that made up Riley's mind. Meanwhile, back at headquarters, Sadness had managed to evade capture, hiding behind old memory files. She bumped into Embarrassment, who had begun to doubt Anxiety's tactics. Sadness placed a hand on his shoulder.
It's okay to feel bad sometimes. It's part of growing up. We need to help her.
Reluctantly, Embarrassment agreed to help Sadness get back to headquarters, while the others continued their climb toward the old sense of self, buried under a mountain of bad memories that Joy had tried so hard to keep hidden. At last, joy, anger, fear, and disgust reached the summit of the mountain where Riley's old sense of self was buried. As they tried to retrieve it, the delicate balance of memories came crashing down, causing an avalanche that released both good and bad memories into Riley's consciousness. The flood of conflicting emotions hit Riley during a crucial moment in her hockey tryouts. She hesitated, unsure of herself, and in the chaos accidentally hurt Grace on the ice. As Grace limped off the field, Riley's heart sank and she began to spiral.
Oh no, what have I done?
Riley whispered, her hands shaking. Anxiety, overwhelmed by guilt, couldn't control the console.
I thought I was helping her, but I've made everything worse.
Joy and the others finally returned to headquarters, but the damage had been done. Riley's anxiety attack worsened, her breath shallow, and her thoughts spinning out of control. Joy looked around at the mess anxiety had created, but instead of anger, she approached with understanding.
You were trying to protect her, but Riley doesn't need to be perfect to have a future. She needs to embrace all of herself, every part.
Joy said softly. Anxiety, still trembling, stepped back.
I thought I had to make her better. I didn't want her to fail.
Joy smiled gently.
Failure is part of the process. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to feel everything.
Together, the emotions worked to calm Riley. Slowly, Riley's breathing steadied, and she began to feel more in control. The final moment came when Joy handed the console back to Riley, allowing her to form a new sense of self, one that embraced both her positive and negative experiences. Later that day, Riley approached Grace and Bree, tears in her eyes.
I'm sorry I've been acting weird. I didn't want to lose you guys.
Grace smiled and pulled Riley into a hug. With her sense of self restored, Riley played the rest of her hockey tryouts with joy and freedom, no longer chasing perfection, but simply enjoying the game she loved. The emotions, old and new, worked together in harmony, guiding Riley through this next chapter of her life.